People of the world, welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 258. Y'all know that we talk about the spiritual stuff. We talk about the spiritual stuff on the show because I feel like there is a connection between you and your soul, for lack of a better word, and your ability to succeed in this life, whether that's relationships, marketing, entrepreneurship, etc. The conversation I had with Kay backstage was absolutely fantastic. We talked about veganism. We talked about the breath. We talked about Bali. We talked about an interesting topic. So you are going to want to stick around to hear from her today. But we are just in time for a little bit of news. Did you know that according to Barron's.com, after Facebook's surge, there are now 5 tech stocks that are worth at least $1 trillion. We covered the fact that Facebook recently navigated through some lawsuits and ended up with above $1 trillion valuation. Apple, 2.249 trillion. Microsoft, 2.024 trillion. Amazon, 1.74 trillion. Google, as Alphabet, surprisingly, 1.67 trillion. If you'd asked me, I'd probably would put them on the top of the list. And now Facebook at $1 trillion. Pretty incredible stuff. Will they remain there? Who knows? TheVerge.com, Facebook confirms tests of new anti-extremism warning prompts. So obviously, the time in between election cycles and always, Facebook is now in charge of culture. They are in charge of culture. Let's be frank about it. And so you may see these anti-extremism warning prompts appear. This is reminding me that Google, who's also in charge of culture, is now giving folks warnings that they aren't sure about their search results. So you've got Google saying, hey, look, here's an article about a UFO sighting, but we're not convinced. So Google's doing that. And now we've got Facebook with warning prompts on extremism. They're testing prompts that will link users to anti-extremism support and resources. They're almost looking at it like a mental illness. Facebook says that it'll continue to remove extremist content that violates its rules. I like this on its face. Obviously, I don't want to see Facebook call something extreme that isn't extreme. But if we're talking about violence, if we're talking about pretty common sense, anti-racism, anti-bigotry stuff, then I'm on board with this. It'll be interesting to see how someone whose heart is filled with hate would react to this, going, this is just the man, exerting their control. But maybe if they do this link to anti-extremism support, it could be something that changes at least someone's mind. Interesting. Final article before we get to meet the incredible, the miracle herself, Kay. Facebook testing drastic changes to Instagram to make it more like TikTok. TikTok, one of my employees, 500,000 views. She got 500,000 views just the other day. Her name is Shalee. You should check her out on TikTok, Shalee Wanders, or ShaleeWanders.com. Incredible influencer. Facebook testing drastic changes to Instagram to make it more like TikTok. Instagram's afraid. They should be afraid. TikTok is too good. A lot of people are taking their TikToks and posting them on Instagram. And so that's sort of the death knell for any social media platform is that the platform itself becomes sort of this afterthought. Cue the fog machine, confetti cannons. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Did you know she has a book in Her Majesty the Queen's Library? She does incredible nonprofit work in Bali. My conversation with her backstage was nothing short of magical. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Kay Suthar!
Thanks for having me here on your show.
You know what? First of all, I love your accent. I'm sure you hear that all the time. And number 2, you have a laundry list of things that you've accomplished, which is really impressive. And I want to start with something that is near and dear to my heart, which is overcoming suffering. I read in your bio that you overcame health issues a lot. That was sort of a recurring theme.
Yeah, it was.
Can we start there?
Yes, definitely. God. So I guess in my 20s, I went from job to job to job to job to job, right? Because I had no clue what I wanted to be. No clue what I wanted to do. And in fact, when people ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be rich.
Let's go.
That's what I want to be. I have no idea how I'm going to get there, when it's going to happen, none of this. And so it was almost like I was just floating in life most of my 20s. And I worked in a magistrate's court for a little while. I then became a hairdresser. I then worked with youths that were deaf and did interpreting for them. And then, I went to become an MMA fighter. Then I became a producer. Then I worked in politics. I mean, the list goes on, right? And so what I realized, and I didn't realize at the time, because, at the time when things happen to you, you just think, oh, what the hell? What's going on now? And it's not until a few years later you reflect back. But I had so many different health issues in different kind of careers that I was going in, that I guess it was telling me this isn't the path that you need to be on. You need to pivot. You need to switch and find something else. This isn't it. And so I remember I thought I found my calling. My calling was to be an MMA fighter, right? I loved it. I like beating the shit out of people. It was so much fun, right? I don't know if I could say that on here, but I've said it
now. Ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Like, it was awesome. And I trained and I trained and I trained. And I remember my coach saying to me, you know what, Kate, you're ready. I'm like, ready for what? They're like, you're ready for your first fight. I'm like, holy crap, are you serious? He was like, yeah, you're ready. And he goes, and guess what? Your first fight's going to be in Thailand. Woo. I'm like, oh my God, going crazy. I'm like, I'm going to train even harder now, right? Training. And then guess what? During training, I ended up in hospital. I must have hurt myself, fell in some sort of awkward way. I don't know what happened, but I got to the hospital. I could not move my neck. I was in a I dislocated my shoulder. My collarbone lodged into my neck. My entire spine behind me was complete mess. Had a domino effect where my left hip disjointed. Right, went in a different direction, and I was just in so much pain. I was on steroids and all sorts of things, and I remember the doctor just coming up to me and says to me, you can't continue to do this. If you continue, then you could end up paralyzed. Oof. Yeah, and at that point I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do now? I can't carry on doing this. So I quit, and my heart was broken because I finally found something that I love to do, and now it's taken me in a different direction. What the hell do I do? I'm in the same position as I was before. Now I've got to figure this all out again. And then I kind of was decided, right, I can't do MMA. And you know what? A lot of the stuff that I did wasn't planned, and I went online to see what else is out there, and saw that they were actually recruiting for police officers. And so I thought, let me give that a go, and applied on a complete joke. I was not about it. I didn't think I would get in. And so I thought, let me just apply, see what happens. And went through the vetting process, and invited me in for the day one assessment. It was intense. Like, there were exams going on. I had to do role play. You have a person with a stopwatch in the corner, timing everything that you do, how you do it. I got shoved into a room, right, where I had this huge guy screaming and shouting at me. Now, you can't see on this platform, right? But at live events, I get so many laughs about this because I'm actually 4'11", right? And so there's not much of me. And I had this guy that was like more than 6 feet and just that towering over me. And I had this person in a stopwatch in the corner assessing me and how I'm going to deal with this person. And I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even expect this, right? Exactly. But I had to calm him down and do all this kind of stuff. And, you got to kind of negotiate and discuss and speak and all this kind of things. And had to have an exam, had a one-on-one interview. This one-on-one interview was nothing like any interview I've been to. Literally, you get a binder in front of you with a list of questions. And the person in front of you has a stopwatch. And they're like, right, bam, first question, you've got 3 minutes to answer. Stopwatch goes. Yeah. So you're answering this, right? And you come to an end, they're like, oh, you've got 1 minute, 30 seconds left. You got anything else to say? And I'm like, no. Right? And they would clock off and they're like, next question. And that goes again. And I was like, this is crazy. There's no way that I've passed this. And so anyway, day one, it was like a whole day assessment. I was there from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's done. And I'm like, okay, that I've not passed that. That was a complete joke. And next minute, a few weeks later, I've got a letter saying, oh, you passed your day one assessment. We're inviting you for day two. And I'm like, oh my God, should I even go? Like, and I remember mom going to me, just go. You never know what's going to happen. If you don't get in, it doesn't matter. So I went in day two, and that was all the medical. So the hearing, the sight, had to do the bleep test, running, had to pick up the weights. And I passed everything but picking up the weights, right? Because at that time, I was 17 kilos, up 70 kilos, 70. And I had to pick up 35, which is half my weight, right? And I was struggling to do this. And I remember everyone that was in my group passed. I was the only one that failed because I couldn't do those weights. And I had this, female police officer who was at 6 foot, built like a concrete truck, right? And she's like, you're going to stay behind. Everyone else is dismissed. And I'm like, holy crap, now she's going to have a go at me for failing and not being good enough. And guess what? That's exactly what she did.
Yeah.
Right? In my face, telling me that I was worthless, that I couldn't do this on the street, and that, why the hell did I even apply? And while I was doing that, she told me to start picking up those weights. And you know what? She got in my face and she annoyed me so much, I ended up picking 35 kilos and passing. And then she taps me on the shoulder. She was like, I knew you could do it. And I'm like, holy crap, what a bitch. Right all in my face. But I guess she saw that I could do it, and I needed that particular type of encouragement for me to pass, right? And so, and next minute, I'm getting suited and booted for a uniform. And I was standing there thinking, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing now. I'm a police officer, and I was doing that for 6.5 years.
Yep.
Now, doing that for such a long time, I was like, yep, this is what I'm going to stick to, or this is what I'm going to do until I retire. And then it happened again. I remember waking up one day, going into the shower. As soon as the hot water touched my skin was on fire. Right? So I jumped back out, went straight in front of the mirror, found out my entire body had come out in a rash.
What?
Overnight. I was fine the night before when I went to sleep. So I remember calling up my friend whose mum is a nurse and telling her what's going on. And she's telling me, get to the hospital now. And I'm like, why? What's going on? She just, don't ask questions, just get to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, had all these tests done. And I remember sitting in the consultation room, waiting for the doctor to come in to give me my results. And he literally opened the door, took one step in, saw me sitting there, and he looked straight in my eyes and he said to me, you were lucky to get here when you did.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what do you mean? What's going on? And he goes, if you didn't get here when you did, your throat would have closed up.
Yeah, allergic reaction.
Right. And so I'm like, well, how the hell did this happen? And he goes, this form of rash is so common when your body is overly stressed.
Wow.
Right. So I didn't realize how much being a police officer was just taking over my body mentally, emotionally, and physically. And it does. But you just don't realize it, and you just go from day to day to day to day.
Right.
And so at that point, I was like, oh my God, like my life is at risk now. Like, I can't carry on doing this. And you know what was so ironic was that I thought my life would have been at risk while I was on duty, not while I was asleep and coming out in a rash, right?
Right.
And so at that point, I was like, okay, I've got to quit this job now. Again, I'm back to square one. I've got to figure this all out again. Right. And I'm sick and tired of going round and round in circles, and I ended up in the same place every time. And so at that point, I kind of did what most people do, I guess, when, they've gone round and round in circles. And I was like, wouldn't it be nice to be my own boss, But I didn't know what an entrepreneur meant. I didn't know what owning a business meant at that time. And so now this is where my journey started, where I was kind of exploring all of that. And so I quit my job as a police officer. I was like, okay, I've got enough money for 6 months to find out what I want to do next. And do you know what was really funny? The minute I quit that job, all of a sudden, doors of opportunity started opening up for me. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, if this was all I had to do, why didn't anyone tell me this years ago? I would have quit then, right? And so all of a sudden, I remember being invited to a networking event in London. I didn't really want to go, but my friend was hosting it. She's like, just come down. If you don't like it, then leave. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll come down. Went down there. It was not my scene. I mean, you had bankers, you had accountants, all suited and booted. And I guess I did what most people do at that point. I went straight to the bar and ordered a drink. Right? So as I was there at the bar ordering this drink, I had this guy coming over, started talking to me. And initially I was like, oh my God, look, this is going to be another chat up line. And so as he started talking to me, he was asking me about what my experience has been, you know, what my career has looked like, what I want to do, what qualifications I have. And I'm like, this is a really weird chat up line.
Right.
So answering all these questions he's asking me. And then I'm like, wait, hold a second. Who are you? And he goes, I think you'd be great on my team as my campaign manager. He goes, yeah, I'm a member of parliament.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what? Holy crap. And I'm like, is this really happening? And he was like, I need you on my team. And this is when the elections were going on in London, right? And so at that point, I was like, well, I guess I'm not doing anything else. Why not? And so I left my police role job on a Friday, and by the following Tuesday, I was working for a Liberal Democrat in politics, right, as a campaign.
Whoa.
And so what I learned very quickly in politics was that, God, there's so many more criminals in politics than there are in prisons.
Whoa.
Right? And so I was like, if I didn't survive policing, there's no way politics is for me. And so I wasn't there for long. I think I was there for like 2 months. I was like, okay, I'm done. This isn't working out for me. And then I remember, God, it was like a month or so prior to all this happening in politics that I met somebody else. And she told me that, you know, there's this company that's looking for people. She'll contact me. Never heard from her. Right. And I was like, yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, people tell you these things. It doesn't actually happen. I got a phone call from her after these politics role. And she said to me, okay, we've got an event in London. I need you to come down to come and speak to management team. And I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, come down because I think you'd be great in our events division. And events is something that I was looking to get into. Because I was like, it's positive, it's lively, you're around people. Like, it's a big, huge difference in environment than it is when you're a police officer. Because that's all negative all day, every day.
Right.
But again, do you know what? I have no qualifications. I have no experience in any of this. And people were telling me, you're living in the dream world. There's no way anyone is going to hire you. And I'm like, well, screw you, watch me. Right? So all of a sudden, I've got this opportunity. I went down to this event and found out they're business events. There's experts, entrepreneurs, gurus going on stages talking about building a digital business, right? Talking about marketing, talking about sales, talking all that good stuff that I don't really know about. And so I went down there, spoke to the manager for 4 hours. It was a US company, so they're all pretty much American. Completely fell in love with my accent and hired me the job. Right?
I'm saying you just got this, you know, you got a competitive advantage in that voice of yours.
There you go, exactly. And so now I'm like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. I told them, listen, I don't have no qualifications or experience. And they just said to me, well, are you willing to learn? Are you coachable? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm totally willing to learn. Just show me what I need to do. And they go, well, that's all we need to hear. And I'm like, awesome. They go to me, what are you doing in 2 days? I'm like, well, I haven't got anything planned. They're like, great, awesome. You need to go pack your bags because your first event is going to be in Malaysia and you're needed in 2 days.
What is your life, by the way?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, what is happening? It's just the most. I'm not going to use the word bizarre because it's not bizarre. I could say serendipitous, perhaps. You could say it's like a serendipitous quality.
Right. And so a lot of people have said to me, goes, you manifest really well, you know? But what's really funny is that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not putting out and saying, this is what I want to do next. It's just kind
of bingo. You know what? Okay, my turn.
Okay.
So law of attraction to me, God bless you, law of attraction. You know, I get it. You're out there. You want to sit there. You want to manifest stuff. That's cool. That's fine. I get it. There's a dark side to everything, okay? So when people sit there and they just focus on this sort of thing, getting addicted to a mansion in San Diego, getting addicted to a certain relationship and exactly how it looks like that to me, and all of the law of attraction people would be like, bah, you're just not trying hard enough. There are some people, you haven't done it for long enough. You read The Secret again, get motivated. It's like, okay, I get it. I understand it. I get it. I understand it. I own a business. I owned my home free and clear. I get it. But it's like anything, there's a price to be paid. So if the law of attraction vibe is like, I'm going to be the best police officer ever, and I'm going to be in police, and then you get that rash, and you're not willing to change, you're not willing to have that mental flexibility to let go of a dream, Like I'm telling you, sometimes letting go of that thing, that prayer, that desire, that is Buddhism 101. Like, you are so attached to this thing, and it is precisely that attachment that is causing the pain and the loss and the everything. And I'm not using your life as an example of this. What I am saying is that if you play chess, you might lose the fact that you can win the game because you are unwilling to sacrifice the queen, right? You throw the queen there, you lose it, check, checkmate. And you have to be able to let go. And so listening to you, that's a quality that you that has been a reoccurring theme in your life, is that, you know what, I'm going to let go and we'll see what happens on the other side.
Exactly. And so one thing I guess I really learned about myself is that I'm able to adapt really quickly. I'm so flexible. I don't care what's coming next. If it's something I have to learn, then I'll learn how to do it, right? And so now looking back, and I'm like, God, this is something that you need when you're becoming an entrepreneur, when you become a business owner, because things change all the time, and you got to learn to adapt and pivot, right? And so I was like, God, I've been doing that for years already. And so I remember when I got this job as, working in events. So I had no experience, no qualifications. Within 4 months, I then became events manager, right? So I learned everything I needed to know about live events, how it works, the logistics, the run through of the day or the 3 days, however long it is. And then I was like, oh, I want to learn sales, right? So learned to do sales, started doing low ticket, then moved up to high ticket, then became the #1 closer in the company.
Let's go.
Exactly. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm on top of my game. I'm on the peak of my career, doing amazingly, traveling all over the world, getting paid for my service, as well as being paid all expenses. All expenses were paid: accommodation, flights, like food, water. It was amazing. And then I remember the CEO coming up to me and he goes to me, I've just bought a resort in Costa Rica where he's going to have his masterminds where people are paying 60K plus. And he goes, and I want you to be part of that team. And I'm like, holy crap, you want me to go over there? You're going to be paying for my apartment, paying for my flight, paying for my food and water, to be on the beach with a swimming pool under palm trees in the sun? I was like, hell yeah. Like, why would anyone say no to that?
Yep.
So what I said to him was like, let me go there for maybe a month or two, see if I like it. If I don't, I'll leave. If I do, then I'll carry on doing what I'm doing there. So he's like, okay, perfect. Went down there, had this amazing apartment, had my own chauffeur to pick me up from my apartment to take me to the resort, back again. Like, it couldn't get any better. I was there for 3 weeks, and then it happened. The company shut down.
What? Why?
Right. And so because the company were paying for all my expenses, all of a sudden I was evicted from my apartment and was homeless, had no food, had no water, and was in a foreign country and didn't speak the language.
Let's go.
Right. And I'm like, holy freaking crap.
I love your story.
Right. And you know what was funny? As I sat there and I was looking across the room and I could see like my teammates pulling out their hair, stressing out, crying, don't know what they're going to do next. I sat there and no word of a lie, I sat there laughing.
Yeah.
I was laughing and laughing. I was like, this is such a ridiculous situation. It's nothing at all. And the thing is, I had a different perspective to everybody else. And that perspective was, and I sat there and I was thinking, hold on a second. When you think about the Tony Robbins of the world, of the world, they were all homeless at one point, and now they're multi-millionaires. So to me, I was like, holy crap, I'm homeless. I'm going to be a millionaire. Right?
God, I love that. I love that.
But what I realized is because I wasn't overwhelmed, I wasn't in that negative, emotion of being in misery and not knowing what to do next, I was able to get creative, think outside the box, and find a solution on how I'm going to get out of this situation that I've been thrown in. And so what I decided to do is, because this resort was set up as a different entity, the resort didn't shut down, it was still going. But now they didn't have those clients that the main business was coming into to feed the resort. So they still had staff to pay, still had bills to pay, but now they've got no clients. They've got no money coming in.
Okay.
So I went up to the resort manager and I said, so the problem that you've got right now, I can help you promote, I can help you brand, I can help you make sure you get social visibility online, bring in clients, but in return, I need shelter, food, and water.
And you got that in spades.
Yes.
You got that I know you got empty rooms. What, you're not going to give me a room? You don't even have to clean it. I'll clean it myself.
Exactly. And so because she was stuck and she didn't know how to do any of this, she was like, holy crap, how did you learn all this? I'm like, through the freaking events, through these gurus, through the CEO.
Wow.
Right? And I was sitting in the back of these events and just soaking all this information up. And so I helped her promote, get herself on different platforms at booking.com.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, we need to hire a photographer, but we can't afford them. Where are we going to get photos from? I'm like, are you mad? Are you insane? All these clients that came down, all they were doing is taking pictures and putting it on Facebook. We just have to go on their Facebook pages and grab those photos.
Yeah.
That's we had to get resourceful by knowing what our resources were, first of all.
Right.
And so all these kind of reviews and testimonials about the resort itself and people taking pictures, we use all of that to promote and help get branded and bring clients in. And that's how she was able to survive in her business. And I kind of realized, if I need to help myself, I need to help somebody else. And so by helping myself and helping somebody else, that's exactly what I'm doing. And guess what? That's what business is all about.
Yo, dude, it's 100%. Wow, that's so amazing. All right, so here's the thing. You got to come back on the show, obviously, because a lifetime. Here's my thing. I've been a guest, and I say this to everyone backstage, so the listeners to the show never get to hear me say this, but my thing was, as a guest on dozens and dozens of podcasts, okay, you do anything long enough, you start repeating yourself. The hosts start sounding the same. you're sort of like, you get good at it, you know, but you're also kind of like,
Right.
all right, you're like, yeah, you know. I was like, you know, these hosts, they care about me, but I don't think they really care about me. Like, they care about me now, but when I leave, we don't care about each other anymore, right? Like the
Right.
relationship has
Yeah.
stopped. It's over.
Well,
And the
not for
reason,
me. I always contact my
well,
host.
you're different. Okay. You're not the average duck. But in my experience, you know, I don't have a relationship with a single one of the people that I did all these podcasts with, right? Not
No
one of
way.
them. Zero.
Wow.
And so my thing was like, I'm going to start a show and everyone's going to get invited back, you know, barring some weird exceptions. Right. And so
Right.
this show is all about, you know, 10 years from now, I want you to be back on the show for episode 72. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's 30 minutes, it's in and out, and we're on our way. But that is the general idea. And so we've had people on the show 3 times. The stories people are telling are amazing. Episode 200 and something. The first few hundred episodes were just me. But anyway, long story short, how fun the story. And there's so much more to uncover. We didn't even talk about marketing, not really.
No.
You know, but that's totally
Yeah.
fine. I'm happy about it. Thrilled with your life story. It's usually what we get out of people, and you just ran right into it. So I want to make sure people know how to reach you. I want you to be able to shamelessly plug your stuff. So why don't you talk about your stuff and how people can reach you, please?
All right. So first of all, I just want to ask, is it okay if I give your audience a free gift?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Of course.
Perfect. So I've created this mini program completely free. You can go onto my website, www.uncensoredsociety.com. And it's called Going From Busy to Being Productive. And the reason why I've created this program is, firstly, people, I found that, especially my clients, I found that they don't really know where the end goal is. They want to be successful, but what does that look like to them? What does that mean to them? Everyone has their own definition. So it's making sure you put pen to paper on what your long-term and what your short-term goals are and being very clear about those. And then, oh my God, I've had so many excuses. You know, they can't build a business or scale a business because they've got kids, because they're married, because they're, you know, working full-time and trying to build this other business on the side, and 101 different excuses. And so when I looked at and sat down with these clients and see what are they doing each day? Where are they putting a lot of their energy, and where should the energy be in? And guess what I uncovered? Most of them, especially recently, have been watching 6 hours of Netflix a day. Now, I'm not being funny, but that's not going to serve you.
That is so much Netflix. That's addiction level. That's crazy.
Great. You know, and so when you put that to pen and paper and you actually see it and you become aware of it, you can make those changes, because guess what? All those are habits, and you can change those habits once you become aware of them. Okay, you got to be willing to change. And so once you start making those small different changes, that's what's going to lead to success, not only in business but also in your personal life. Okay, and you got to remember to, you know, build a 6-figure business, a 7-figure business. You're going to incorporate those habits that's going to serve you to get you there. So by identifying what serves you and what isn't serving you and changing those, that's what's going to help you. And this is what this mini program does. It comes with tons of worksheets, and it also has a video of explaining how to use those. So the minute you start jotting that down and making those changes, that's where you're going to make it work for you. And to get hold of me, again, go onto my website. You've got links to my social media on there. And also there's a contacts page. You can go on there, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to respond.
You know, when you said your website, I didn't actually understand what you said.
Oh, you didn't? So
no.
My company is actually called Uncensored Society. It's not a porn
When you say,
site.
is it uncensored or uncensored?
Uncensored. Completely
okay.
Uncensored. Hence my language. I apologize for that.
Oh, you shouldn't apologize, because there's nothing to apologize. Uncensored, I don't know how to spell that. Is it UNCENSORED?
Yes.
Uncensored. And then what's the other part?
Society.
Society.com. Uncensoredsociety.com.
Exactly.
All right, that's where you got to go, ladies and gentlemen. Uncensoredsociety.com. You know the drill. 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. If you want to join us for the live show, 10:30 a.m., as I mentioned, iTunes and Spotify, After the Fact, 12 other podcast platforms, streaming live on the Send It Rising Facebook page, my personal LinkedIn, Twitter @Kellen Kautzman. You know we love you. We really appreciate everyone listening to us on the podcast side of things. Why don't you swing by the live show? If you go to youtube.com/senditrising, there's a little chat box there. You can ask questions to our guests in real time. That's what we love to see. If you want to help us out, hit that like button and comment for the algorithm. We're going to give Kay the final word.
Oh, gosh. Guys, in order to achieve your dreams, your goals, make sure you stay raw, real, and relentless.
That's alliteration. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later.